This is more than a summer sale video, as I will not only recommend the most fun real-time strategy and tactics games which you can buy cheaply, but also tell you the latest news and updates about these games. I have lots of sale recommendations for you, so let's start with those which are 50% off right now and move up to 90% off. At the very end I will mention some which are less than 50% off, but still worth your money and time. First up, at 50% off, is Age of Mythology Retold, a fantastic entry point for new RTS players, even young ones like my own 7-year-old son, who will spend 4 hours in a single skirmish match and over several days just to produce 10 titans to smash enemy bases and scream and spit his joy at my PC monitor. So young or old players fall in love with all the lore, god powers, magical beasts and mythical heroes, and more coming with each new DLC, like the recent Obsidian Mirror which introduced the Aztec faction. If you prefer spaceships and space warfare, then Sins of a Solar Empire 2 is your jam at 50% off. It has not only been updated many times, and most of the AI-made stuff changed for human-made content, but the UI has been updated, factions balanced, and several DLCs released with more on the way. We have yet to get the campaign missions and the long-awaited fourth faction, which should change the entire landscape of this long-standing franchise. A game from a famed RTS developer is 9-bit Armies a bit too far at 50% off, but they went with the voxel graphics, which turned away some players. Others got to enjoy base building and battles on land, sea and air in a long chain of campaign missions. There are also skirmishes, online PvP, survival and challenge game modes, and even co-op. There are super weapons, a new roguelike game mode which is a free DLC, and it is an old school game design with no unit abilities but a proper veterancy system. The Hive is 50% off and has been out for a while, but its devs keep on working on it and added new content like a survival mode DLC and a cinematic trailer. In this new game mode, your insectoid hive mind fights with a persistent swarm, which does not reset after each new level, but your units carry over their stats, skills, levels, items and upgrades to each new mission along with your resources. The most fun part of this strange RTS is its mix of RPG elements like harvesting DNA from defeated enemies to unlock new units' abilities and strategies. Darfall is another game mixing RPG and RTS elements, and it's 50% off right now. It has a single player campaign with a full storyline, proper characters based on heroes with abilities, and fun and complex gameplay with a survival mode and potential for making your own scenarios. This game is a clear product of love and dedication by a small indie team which found themselves a publisher and have done their best to incorporate high quality voiceovers. A much bigger scale RTS with an innovative way of controlling, more like directing your units, is Line War, which is at 50% off. The game was updated with a new category of tech upgrades just in time for this sale, and before that with a new world generation option by one of its fans. Devs added trains, did engine upgrades, and you can rewind replays. While this game does have an AI to play against, its greatest mode is actually multiplayer and it has one of the most unique systems of territory picking and match setup. Planetary Annihilation Titans has a very strange story of development which has now been actually taken over by its community, who just added co-op for up to 64 players for the Galactic War, which is a sort of roguelike campaign, but the default option is 12 players. So with this sale you can get it at 50% off and wage war across entire solar systems with massive armies at your command, while firing off massive super weapons which can even demolish planets. Nebulous Fleet Command is also at 50% off, but in addition to its incredible skirmish and multiplayer, you now have the first part of its campaign to play. It is an incredible spaceship combat game, if hard to get into, so this campaign and sale should be the perfect starting point for all of you who have been on the fence about getting into it. Best of all, you can do this in co-op with up to 10 players. The story is told through fully voice-acted scenes during gameplay, while logistics include ammunition, fuel and damage, which persist from mission to mission on each ship. Another space game, but this one includes base building, is Stellar Warfare, which is also at 50% off right now. Its dev works tirelessly on bringing new content and updates, like the redone skirmish and multiplayer, in addition to the single player aspect of the game with customization of 200 ships with weapons and modules. Bots are part of the multiplayer now with several difficulty levels and special personality settings like aggressive, turtle, balance, tech or eco. Moving up to 60% off, we have Diplomacy is Not an Option, which since release got at least 20 or 30 content updates and additions, including more factions, units and missions. If you prefer huge armies and base building with wave survival combat, then this is a great choice for you. It has very destructive powers you can use against waves of enemies while holding on to its very light-hearted design. The campaign is now quite extensive and there are many custom missions to try your skill at. No sale can go on without Wargames after all, so there is WARNO at 60% off with its World War III scenario, which has a number of free and paid DLCs which expand its already huge faction and unit count. It might not be considered a AAA game, but to those who love its battle simulator combat style and Cold War era infantry, tanks, aircraft and helicopter units, it is probably one of the best ones. Dune Spice Wars might not be a pure real-time strategy game as it has a lot of 4X elements, but it's quite fun to play and masterfully well-shaped according to the Dune universe. At 60% off, you get to experience house politics, backstabbing, Fremen and sandworms, spice and dust storms. It's all there to make your match infinitely more complicated, and while combat is still very relevant, it is not the only way to win on the hot and dry sands of Dune. When it comes to Star Wars games, Empire at War Gold Edition is at 65% off, and that means it includes the Forces of Corruption expansion pack. Expansion packs, the good old days of significant additional content at reasonable prices. Anyway, even many years after release, developers pop in unannounced and bring improvements like better framerate, bug fixes and 64-bit support. Best Star Wars game hands down, especially with both real-time battles and Galactic Conquest map. The other Star Wars game I can recommend at 65% off is Galactic Battlegrounds Saga. That one is like Age of Empires but in a Star Wars setting, and it's limited to ground combat. What's great about it is that it has several factions from the movies like Galactic Empire, Rebel Alliance, Wookiees, Trade Federation, Gungans and Royal Naboo. Campaign is still there, while it's old, it's still good. Speaking of Age of Empires, the definitive edition of the second one is also on sale at 65% off, along with its host of DLCs. Newest of these is The Last Chieftains, featuring medieval South America, 3 factions and 3 single-player campaigns of its own. Multiplayer is a clear draw here with a massive player base still hungry for new blood, but the base game is enough to get you started since it has lots of single-player content and factions for multiplayer. The other Age of Empires game I can recommend at 65% off is the last one, Age of Empires 4, its anniversary edition. I am currently teaching my own kid to play it, and there is a lot of multiplayer action to be had here too. Many DLCs as well, with the most recent one announced, Raiders of the North. That one will bring Vikings and Scots, new biomes and more Crucible mode content. A somewhat new and less known indie sci-fi space RTS game that is on sale at 65% off is Battlefleet. It has been updated many times by its developer, most recently to improve the capture ship mechanics and its success rate, as well as adding more ships for construction at the standard shipyards. I'm just sorry this game hasn't found more fans, as it blends both fantastic spaceship combat and a map management layer with customization. I guess it was only missing some better world building or higher budget cinematics and cutscenes to catch more eyes. Next game is Cossacks 3, now at 66% off. This third game of the franchise is different from its predecessors due to its combat being more arcadey, but it has more complex base building. It is a very fun older RTS in which you can send big armies in formation to fight it out on all sorts of terrain. It has a special charm of its own and reminds of Age of Empires, so it isn't difficult to get into. The entire Company of Heroes franchise is just one more percentage off at 67%, and this package holds all 3 games. Well, the base games at least. Each one has expansions and DLCs, and if you visit their individual pages, you will find even better deals there. Do note, with the announcement of a definitive edition for the first game, you might not want to spend money on that one right now and just wait for the remastered version. Rise of Nations has an extended edition on Steam, which is also 67% off right now. It doesn't get updates anymore, and we can just hope for a remake or remaster sometimes in the future. I personally still play it occasionally, as it never stopped being fun. What made it so memorable for me and many others was its fantastic blend of base building and resource collection, with constant warfare while moving across ages with different civilizations. Stronghold did get a remastered treatment from its publisher and developer some time ago, and now it's on sale at 70%. The original classic RTS with instantaneous building of castle-like cities has been a benchmark for fast fun, but also meticulous planning of massive medieval sieges. The campaign is just to get you started, while the rest of the content is a never-ending sandbox of building and destruction. Remastered improved graphics and added community-requested features. Knights of Honor 2 Sovereign is also on sale at 70% off. It is a game that brings together real-time combat in battles with a real-time campaign map management of cities and countries. It isn't easy, but it is a lot of fun, and if you want a total war but without turns, this is a perfect game for you. It used to get lots of updates, the last of which improved the rebellion mechanics and added quality of life improvements for multiplayer. Now, Northgard is very similar to Dune Spice Wars, as it comes from the same dev team and it's currently at 72% off. Its latest definitive edition added new content, but also gave us changes to the base game, including additional clans and campaign. Valhalla was the new biome, and Bifrost Realms were added to single player and multiplayer game modes, which now include a Frostbite mode. It's small scale, but it has base building and some management aspects. Another definitive edition of a small-scale RTS game you may want to look into is the one for original Halo Wars at 75% off. Many enjoyed playing it despite its limited base building options. Some might say it gets a huge pass because it's based on a beloved franchise, but I think it's because its campaign is very addictive and challenging, while the gameplay is easy to get into but hides aspects which take a long time to master. No, the sequel is not available on Steam yet, but Steam always wins in the end, so I have hope. Similarly, SpellForce 3 is on a 75% off sale with its mix of RPG and RTS gameplay in an incredibly rich fantasy world. It's a hybrid because of its heroes who get experience during combat and level up with an RPG style skill tree. Its single-player storytelling campaign makes this RPG style even more obvious and provides a great learning opportunity, so coupled with a bunch of extra skirmish and skirmish-like game modes and maps, it is a lot of fun. You don't even have to buy all the DLCs and expansions. A much older and more unusual game is Impossible Creatures, which has its own special Steam edition, which I recommend every time it is on sale, like now it's 75% off because of its unique gameplay of animal hybridization. It stopped getting updates many years ago, but it's still quite playable. Considering its single-player campaigns and an easy-to-use mission editor, you can create your own fun with it. Another World War II inspired game which is praised highly is Call to Arms Gates of Hell Ostfront, and despite me not finding the time to play it myself, I don't mind recommending it at 75% off. Do note it has a lot of additional content in form of DLCs. This game has found so many fans and has really good reviews even if it isn't a full-on RTS because it lacks base building and resource collection. Devs even made a new open beta to showcase the changes to Conquest missions and a new move deployment point feature. And speaking of World War games, how about one between toy soldiers like Army Men RTS for example, which is also at 75% off. It's about plastic toy soldiers we used to play with at home, but turned into an RTS PC game with base building, resource management, and hilarious battles in 3 game modes. It has something for everyone, and if you skipped it or were just born too late to know about it, I warmly recommend it. Another entire franchise on sale is Wargame at 75% off. The Ultimate Franchise Pack gets you the 3 base games and all the DLC published for them. Individual games are on sale as well, each at 75% off, including Escalation, Airland Battle, and the latest Red Dragon, which turned into a major hit. These games don't offer any base building, but their land, air, and even naval modern combat on a huge scale has been enjoyed by RTT fans for over a decade now. One game we certainly won't be seeing another sequel for is Supreme Commander, which is at 80% off. The streaming economy, the scale of warfare, the power of the Commander unit set the stage for one of the most beloved RTS games ever. Chris Taylor isn't going back to this, but he did give his blessing to the developers of Sanctuary Shattered Sun, which is its spiritual successor. As you wait for that one and its July Kickstarter demo, why not drop your Commander and start building? Maybe because Supreme Commander Forged Alliance still exists and people still play it. Yes, the official standalone expansion, which is the gold standard for many RTS fans to this day and who keep playing it in multiplayer actively, is also on sale and also at 80% off. And additionally, if you go and join the Forged Alliance Forever community, which kept on updating and developing this game for all of us since 2011, you can download and enjoy co-op campaigns, smarter AIs, new game modes, and maps with up to 16 players in matchmaking. I can't really skip mentioning that Supreme Commander 2 is on sale at 80% off as well, but I know some of you might want me to. Regardless of the fact that its gameplay received some badly received changes compared to the original, it still found many players who enjoyed playing it. Streamlining the gameplay is a notion I avoid even saying, but here it has to be used and the player base not only noticed, but full on rebelled against it. Small wonder it was the last sequel devs ever made. And speaking of sequels, Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2 is 80% off, and while it didn't change things too much, for some, to me unknown reason, it simply didn't get many players to stick around. It features 12 factions in all their spaceship combat glory and a great campaign as well. DLC stopped at Chaos Campaign expansion, which is particularly odd for a Warhammer 40k game. It wouldn't be a sale recommendations video if I didn't mention Command & Conquer Remastered Edition, which is currently 80% off. Everything about the original Command & Conquer and Red Alert games was redone with love and dedication, including music, graphics, map editor, and even something added, like replays for multiplayer, so you can watch over and over how experienced players run you over if you tried the multiplayer as a new player. An old favorite at 85% off is Order of War. It was not well received even though it has very good gameplay and you might find several issues that could make your experience problematic. But if it runs well on your PC, you will be able to enjoy World of Conflict-like gameplay in a World War II setting, and then you will just want to play that game too. Unfortunately, it is no longer on Steam, but you can actually get it for free on massgate.org. And if you want more free RTS games, I have a video for you linked up here and down in the description. While World War II games are a dime a dozen, World War I games are quite rare, and good ones are almost impossible to find. Some might not agree with me, but I think Petroglyph gave it their best shot when they made the Great War Western Front, and it is at 85% off now. On one hand, splitting the gameplay into real-time trench warfare and turn-based management layer might have been a bridge too far for the devs, but on the other hand, it has very fun gameplay once you give it a chance. At the same 85% off sale is a completely different spin on the World War I gameplay in an alternative universe full of dieselpunk mechs. Yes, I'm talking about Iron Harvest. Set in an alternative 1920 reality, it was a love letter to the RTS gaming community from its devs, made with classic RTS mechanics in mind and strong narrative campaigns. Now they work on Dawn of War 4. What a timeline we live in, huh? Coming up to 90% off sales, first I want to recommend a game because of which I broke CDs in half and threw chairs at my PlayStation 1. It's simply called Z, but it hides some incredible blue and red robot gameplay. If you do end up playing it, please don't throw chairs at your expensive monitors. From personal experience, I can tell you, you will be back for more until you finish its 20-something mission long campaign and watch all the humorous movie sequences. Next game at 90% off is Homeworld Deserts of Kharak, which is the last Homeworld game worth speaking of. If you don't go deeper than the recent reviews, you might get the wrong picture that the game is somehow bad, but people are giving it thumbs down only for not having any support anymore and being tied into the Epic's online store. Otherwise, it was a fantastic addition to the Homeworld universe. And yes, I left the best for last, as Homeworld is one of my top 5 favorite games ever and I would take it to a deserted island and play forever. I can never even decide if it is because of the one-of-a-kind art style and unique campaign experience, or the full 3D movement and fleet-based base combat. The second game might be less loved for its changes of combat and formation mechanics, but the story was still amazing. So I always warmly recommend everyone to get the Remastered collection, now at 90% off. There are more RTS and RTT games on sale, especially if you look past the 50% off range, like the recently returned Ruse, the Scouting with its new ship-enabled combat, Mod War and its organic-based units, or Rogue Command and its fantastic mix of RTS and roguelike gameplay. Tempest Rising is the closest we got to CNC games in a generation, while Laceria Fantasy Kingdom Sim is almost a remake of Majesty. They Are Billions is old but one of the best survival-based RTS games, and for those who enjoy real-time tactical gameplay with little to no base building, there are Terminator Dark Fate Defiance and Starship Troopers Terran Command. I would also recommend Godsworn as it got its second campaign act, Red Chaos The Strict Order and Battlefall State of Conflict for their old-school charm, Stronghold Crusader and its new Definitive Edition for a wealth of upgrades, along with a similar upgrade to Warhammer 40k Dawn of War. Links to all of these are in the description of this video, so I will stop here and invite you to check out my RTS news series, which shows you all the upcoming RTS games you can look forward to and also what is fresh content in those that have been released. Thank you for watching and happy gaming!